In as much as the metric for dislodging, for succeeding in Venezuelan politics is dislodging Maduro from power, he did not succeed. Now, he did manage to, during his first days of protest, he freed Leopoldo Lopez. He was able to show that there is a flank there's a military flank to Maduro's government, and he was able to show that with some negotiation, the military in Venezuela can be moved. So his demonstrations were not unsuccessful. At the same time, he did not manage to dislodge Maduro. Is that a success? Is that a bad thing? Expect that a government that has been there for 20 years will be ousted in a day is wishful thinking, and whomever thinks that has always been selling a little bit of a mirage in a way.
Well, of course, the US now saying that it would not rule out military intervention. In fact, it's thinking quite carefully about military intervention in Venezuela if Maduro does not step down. Do you think that could be decisive? Is that how this situation is going to end up being decided, with intervention from foreign powers?
So at this point, I think that physical troops in Venezuela are unlikely. Now, what is to be expected is that on a very complicated local situation, now we have a complex international situation. Beforehand, there was a clear position between Russia and the European Union and the United States. Now it is a confrontation. That will change things. We don't know how. And military confrontation, I don't think, is the most plausible solution. However, it is on the table. And that is also a massive difference to the political debate in Venezuela.
Now, what about Juan Guaido? He presents himself as a sort of savior for democracy in Venezuela, countering himself against Maduro, who he sees as a successor to Hugo Chavez. Is that the correct image of him? Do you think that's the right image we should be taking away?
So there is always in Venezuela this tendency to idealize the political opposition, and they are but mere mortals, and they have their flaws. And if you want to find their flaws, there are many. However, he has done a very interesting thing. He was able to coalesce the opposition or gather the opposition behind him. He was able to show some political frailties that the government has shown, and he was able at the same time to mobilize the Venezuelan people behind his support in a very short period of time. That is an amazing political feat in any other country. Now, is he the person that is going to save the country? I don't think this very complex political scenario will be solved by a TV confrontations between Maduro and Guaido. It is a many people political debate that will last a long time. To assume that there is one day in which, in an epic confrontation, good wins against evil, to use those terms, is then again a simplification that is not an accurate depiction of the Venezuelan reality.
In the last decade, we've seen Venezuelan socialist policies backfire. We've seen, of course, the falling oil prices affecting the situation there, to the point now where hyperinflation is so important that more than 3 million Venezuelans have had to leave the country. Is Venezuela a victim, do you think, of its own oil richness?
So that is a very complex debate, but to put it succinctly, I think that oil did not help a terrible political economic policy implemented by the Chavista regime. I think that the metric is not oil prices, is oil output. Venezuela is producing less oil now than it was when Chavez took over the country. So they even killed the goose that laid the golden eggs. I think that this is a very terrible situation that was self-inflicted by Chavista's economic policies and aggravated by external circumstances.